or muscles in the neck can assist the hip flexors. So if we look at this superficial fascial layer, which wraps through all the tissues, including the bones, if I pull on the superficial fascia here, see how it shortens here, right? So by hypercontracting the scalenes, it puts enough tension into this superficial fascial layer to provide some tension in the superficial fascia of the hip flexors, right? And that's why when people get scalene spasms, they can be pretty painful.
Yes.
Yeah. You got these very little muscles working for these very large muscles. So that's an example of an anterior compensation, anterior plane compensation, or an anterior fascial band. So we'll talk primarily about the anterior fascial band, the lateral fascial band, and the posterior fascial band. Okay. Now, I was working on, who had that? Oh yeah. Tibialis anterior. Come on down. Do the walking. And I came across the tibialis anterior. Remember, we worked on tibialis posterior. But certainly the tibialis anterior being an ankle inverter, right? So, ooh, I'm going to look at this one. Because this ankle's still inverted.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to check the hip flexors again. Lift this leg up to the ceiling. Ooh. Well, that's already off, so what I'm going to do is manually shorten the tibialis anterior. A little bit of dorsiflexion and a little bit of inversion. And lift up. Oh my goodness, it tested negative that time when I shortened tibialis anterior. So I'm going to let the ankle go back to where it was and lift up. And positive test, lift up, positive test. Engage motor learning. Motor control said my hip flexors didn't do what I hoped. All right, for motor learning, I'm going to release the tibialis anterior, and then without doing anything else, I'm going to check again. Lift up. There we go. Lift up and lift up. Good. And that's a better result. Okay, so Mindy was recruiting the tibialis anterior to assist the hip flexors on the same side. Okay, so fascial band. Okay, we got the toe extensors here, right? And of course the extensor digitorum brevis attach it to the bones here, but the fascia doesn't end there, right? Right? It weaves into the periosteum, right? But right nearby, that's in that same neighborhood is the attachment, the insertion attachment for the tibialis anterior. So this anterior fascial band continues from the top of the foot into the muscles of the anterior compartment of the leg, which then attach just below the knee. But the fascia don't end, do they?
No.
They go through the joint capsule, and right nearby again, what arises is the quadriceps, right? And they start to end at the top of the thigh, for three of them do. But then what starts right here on the inside of the thigh in the near neighborhood? The hip flexor, the insertion tendon, well, usually insertion tendon for the iliacus and psoas, right? So you start to see how this fascial weave continues from muscle to muscle up the anterior plane, right? And then some of it goes a little deep, but the fascia, remember the fascia is three-dimensional, so it doesn't all follow. It's like, oh, we can only go where the psoas goes. You know? Oh, we all ended up at the spine. No, not quite how it works. Because right here, just below the ilium, we have the fascia ending in the quadriceps muscles, but right, the periosteum, they weave into the periosteum, continue above the ilium, and what we have here, abdominal muscles, and then we have intercostal muscles, and then we have the pec minor, and the scalenes, and even the masseter, all part of that same anterior fascial band, right? So somebody could be clenching their jaw to assist their hip flexors.